Good morning and welcome back to Live Without Limits. Stop holding yourself back. Your breakthrough starts here. And I'm your host, Davida Shinsky. Today, we're going to be talking about how mindset, personal power, and the real strategies that help you stop waiting on life to start leading it. So today, we're talking about how mood follows action. So don't wait for it. Make it happen. And if you've ever said things like, I don't feel motivated right now. I'll start when I feel ready. I just need to get the right mood. I do not want to wait for tomorrow when I have more energy. Then the episode is going to change you, but in the way that it changes everything, because here's the truth that most people never learn early enough. You don't set and act because you feel. You do what works for you. Now, you feel good because you act. The mood is not the starting point. It is the result, which means that what often what we try to do is say that what we feel is inside us. But you know what? It's not, or that we think it comes from someone else that makes us feel, but it really comes from us, within us. We make ourselves happy, we make ourselves sad, and often it's related to experiences that we have around us. And understanding that can help you actually feel and understand where you're at right now. Once you understand that, you stop being controlled by the emotion and start directing your life with intention. So today, we're breaking this down into 3 powerful shifts. Why waiting is for motivation is keeping you stuck. How action actually creates your emotional state, and a practical system to move even when you don't feel like it. So let's get started. But first, let's talk about why waiting for motivation is keeping you stuck. You know, it's called procrastination, and it has to do with time management. We often like to put off till tomorrow what we can do today. Well, the same is also about motivation, because how are you going to motivate yourself to set a goal? And it's often fear of success. Now, how action actually creates your emotional state. If you sit still and you wait for things to come to you, they never happen. But if you take action, if you start moving forward and do things, it's all in the mindset. It's all in how you relate to what's going on inside you. Now, what's the practical system to move on even when you don't feel like it? Well, the idea is that often when someone gets depressed, they don't move. They sit there. They let their thoughts take control of their mind. And I know for me that what I do is I'm someone that can't sit still. I'm constantly moving in some way or another. And understanding how you motivate yourself can help you understand just how your mood follows your action. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the motivation myth and why you feel stuck. One of the biggest lies that people believe is successful people feel motivated all the time. That is completely false. Successful people don't wait for motivation. They understand how unreliable it is. Motivation is emotional weather. It changes consistently. Some days you feel energized. Some days you feel tired. Some days you feel confident. Some days you feel uncertain. You know, who you are at this moment is not going to be who you are in 5 minutes from now, because what you're experiencing right now is going to change who you are from second to second. So, and it's not just that you get older. When you look at a baby, and when they're first born, they're helpless and they're very dependent. With each day, as they get old enough and become aware of what's going on around them and they're taking it in. You ever watch a baby, how their eyes are very wide and how they just look at you? And, you know, it's really interesting because we talk about, you know, the steps they take, the little things they do. Well, we're constantly doing that, whether you're a young child, whether you're an adult, even as you get older, you're experiencing new things, understanding that learning never ends from one moment to the next. You're always learning something new. If you build your life only when the weather is good, you will always be inconsistent. Let's break it down simply. Motivation is not a full source. It's a byproduct. You don't wait for motivation to clean your house. You start cleaning, and halfway through, you feel better. You don't wait to feel confident before a workout. You start moving and confidence shows up during the workout. You don't wait to feel organized to start planning your life. You start planning and clarity begins to form. So the real problem is not the lack of motivation. The real problem is we are trying to feel our way into action instead of acting our way into feeling. And that keeps people stuck for years because every time you say, I'll do it later, I'm not in the mood, tomorrow will be better, you are reinforcing your one identity. I only act when I feel like it. And that identity will quietly control your entire life. Understanding just how you need to take better control of your life, just understanding how you feel things, and it all comes from within. And as we've been saying, if you don't move, you will allow yourself to lose the motivation. And now, one thing that I think I should talk about is I don't know if you've heard or as much recently about what they call biorhythms, but some people are more alert first thing in the morning. Others are more alert late in the afternoon. But if you understand when you are at your peak, and also understand that even when you're not at your peak, you can motivate yourself to present yourself in order to move and get where you truly want to be. But it's up to you to make the decision on whether or not you are going to achieve or move yourself to achieve the things that you truly want to achieve. But you have to understand, and this is why often a lot of people don't know what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. And if you do understand this and you understand how you can take it and help you motivate yourself to achieve those things that you feel you can achieve, then and only then will you be able to understand how you can take and motivate yourself. The truth, action creates mood. Let's shift everything now. Here's the core principle of the episode. Mood follows action, not the other way around. Your brain does something way important. It responds to behavior first, feeling second. When you move your body, your brain chemistry changes. When you complete a task, your confidence increases. When you take action, your identity starts to shift. Even small actions matter. Let's say you feel low energy and unmotivated. If you stand up, drink water, make your bed, take a shower, walk for 5 minutes. You don't just do tasks, you change the state. Now, contrast that with staying still. Overthinking increases, anxiety increases, procrastination increases, self-doubt increases. Stillness without direction doesn't create peace. It often creates stagnation. So the question becomes, are you waiting for your mood to change? Or are you willing to change your mood through movement? Because one leads to control over your life. The other leads to emotional dependency. And emotional dependency looks like this. And let's look at it this way. Because stillness without direction doesn't create peace. It often creates stagnation. Are you waiting for your mood to change? Are you willing to change your mood through movements? Because one leads to control over your life. The other leads to emotional dependency. And the emotional dependency looks like this. I can't do it today. I'm not in the right headspace. I just don't like myself. But high performers don't ask, do I feel like it? They ask, what would I do if I didn't negotiate with my feelings? So understanding how you have more control over your feelings, you have to decide whether or not you want to move yourself, achieve something, or just sit there and allow yourself to procrastinate and to let your mind control your actions. Because if you don't feel like who you are, and it all goes back to what you see when you look in the mirror. Well, what do you see? Let's look at it that way. What do you see when you look in the mirror every day? Do you see someone that you like? Do you see someone that you dislike? Because how you see yourself determines how you expect other people to see you. And if you have underlying fears, and those may be true fears through something you've experienced early on, or it may be something that you feel because it's something that a significant other or a parent or someone that was important in your life told you you should feel, whether you truly feel that way or not. So, let's now look at the identity shift. You are not your mood. This is where the transformation happens. Most people believe, I feel unmotivated, therefore I am unmotivated. But this is not true. Feelings are temporary signals, not identity statements. You are your tiredness. You are, or rather, let's say it this way. You are not your tiredness. You are not your doubt. You are not your fear. You are not what you procrastinate. Those are states, not definitions. So let's get deeper. You have two versions of yourself. The reactive self, which acts based on feelings, waits for conditions to be perfect, avoids discomfort, delays decisions. The directive self acts based on intention, moves regardless of mood, builds discipline, creates momentum. And every time you act despite resistance, you strengthen the directive self. Every time you wait, you strengthen the reactive self. So the real question is, which version of you are you training every day? Because you are training one of them, whether you realize it or not. Are you the reactive self who acts afterwards? Or are you going to be the one who takes the control over yourself and directs? So let's look at it this way. The directive self versus the reactive self. Remember this. You can always react to something after it happens, or you can take control of your life and make the outcome what you want it to be, not let it control you. And it's the same thing as saying that we have no control over our lives. And it's the same thing of when you allow your parent to dictate to you what you should be doing and the life goals you should have, as opposed to living the life that you want to live. And often think about it. If we are with someone that we allow them to belittle us and make us little just to make themselves feel better, that's because in some way they feel they're inadequate and they need someone that they have to, in essence, control, because it's all a mindset. They are not being the true person they are meant to be. How you live your life determines on what's going on inside you on that daily basis. And how you understand that, how you take control of your life and live it to the best quality that you possibly can. Now, the momentum effect. Why small action changes everything. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces in human behavior. Think of it like this. A stopped object requires the most energy to move, but once it starts following, it becomes easier to contribute. Your life works the same way. The hardest part of not doing the whole task, the hardest part of starting. Once you start, your brain shifts into execution mode. Resistance lowers. Focus increases. Energy often rises. This is why people often say, I don't feel like doing it, but once I started, I was fine. That is not coincidence. That is neuroscience. So here's the powerful rule. Never trust your feelings at the starting line. Your feelings at the beginning are often the most misleading. They are shaped by comfort bias, fear of effort, desire of ease, but your future self is built in motion, not hesitation. So even the smallest action matters. 2 minutes of work, one email, one page, one call, one stretch, one decision, because small actions don't just complete tasks, they break resistance. Okay, now I want to look at it, I want to talk about it this way because I think this can really help you understand. I know, so I get up every day at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I have a certain routine that I do. Now, 3 days a week, I go to the gym and they pick me up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I know I have to be ready. So immediately, even though I might be thinking the night before how I just don't want to do it, but the moment I get up in the morning, the moment I make my bed, the moment I start getting dressed, the moment I just start moving and doing and getting things done, that within an hour, I've had a little something to eat, and I take my coffee with me, and I'm ready in an hour to be out the door, pretty much. But it's because when I get up, I start moving, I do the things I need to do, and I'm there as much because I need it for the physical therapy as I need it just to move. And it's something that and the thing is that yes, as you get older, it gets harder and harder, because when I didn't have anyone picking me up to take me to the gym, and I was much younger, it was much easier for me to get up, get dressed, eat something, and walk over to the gym. And when I get through, change my clothes and walk home. When you have to depend on other people, but the idea is that once I'm moving, once I'm getting myself to do the things I need to do, it's not so hard because I'm moving. I'm just thinking of that I have to be ready. My motivation has always been that that exercise was important for me because it helped me improve my mobility. That I had surgery at 14, and at 16 I was able to no longer wear the brace that helped me walk. And I kept it off for 50 years because I exercised consistently. And therefore, whenever I would catch my toe on and it would cause me to lose my balance, I was able to catch myself. But I noticed that as I got older, no matter how much I exercised, I was still falling. Therefore, I knew it was more important that I put it back on and start wearing it. But the fact that I understood how that motivation to exercise was so important for me because it helped me put myself in a better physical. And the thing is that as you age, you don't have the same flexibility that you did have as you were a young child. So recognizing this, but keeping yourself motivated to understand that you have to move constantly, that you have to put yourself in that position of changing what you're feeling, because once you get action, you can sit there and procrastinate, you can think about it and procrastinate, or you can move yourself and start working towards those goals to help put yourself exactly where you want to be. Now, let's talk about the 5-minute rule, how to break procrastination instantly. Let's make this practical. If you struggle with getting started, use the 5-minute rule. Tell yourself, I only have to do this for 5 minutes. Not forever, not perfectly, just 5 minutes. Why this works? It removes pressure. It bypasses resistance. It tricks the brain into starting. It builds immediate momentum. Most of the time, after 5 minutes, you keep going, or you've already broken the mental block. Either overcome to win, because the goal is not perfection. The goal is activation. Here's how to apply it. If you avoid working out, do this for 5 minutes. Writing, write 1 paragraph. Cleaning, clean 1 area. Studying, read 2 pages. Planning, write 3 bullet points, and then stop if you want to. But you'll notice something. Most of the time, you won't stop because the action changes mood faster than thought ever will. So that understanding that you have the ability to control getting past sitting still and having poor motivation and stifling and keeping your mood exactly where you are. Emotional leadership, mastering your inner state. At a deeper level, this is not about productivity. It's about emotional leadership. Most people are emotionally reactive. They wait to feel ready. They wait to feel confident. They wait to feel inspired. Be emotionally strong, people. Generate readiness. Generate confidence. Generate momentum. They don't ask, how do I feel? They ask, what state do I need to step into right now? And then they act into the state. This is how leaders operate. This is how high performers operate. This is how creators operate. They don't wait for life to align with their mood. They align their mood with what life requires. And that changes everything. What stops people? The hidden resistance. Let's be honest about what actually stops people. It's not laziness. It's fear of failing, fear of not doing perfectly, fear of discomfort, fear of judgment, overthinking. So instead of acting, people delay. But here's the irony. Delaying doesn't remove fear, it amplifies it. Because now you don't just have the task, you have guilt, you have pressure, you have anxiety, mental buildup. Action clears emotional noise. Inaction multiplies it. So every time you act, you are not just getting things done. You are cleaning your mental space, building the action first lifestyle. Let's bring this into the daily life. If you want to live by the principle, here's your framework. Start before you feel ready. Readiness built, not found. Move your body first when stuck. Movement shifts. Emotion faster than thinking. Do the smallest version of the task. Shrink resistance until it disappears. Stop negotiating with emotions. Feelings are real, but not always relevant. Focus on identity, not mood. Ask, what would the disciplined version of me be right now? Then do that. So, what's the transformative message here? Let's bring this home. If you think nothing else from this episode, take this. You do not need a better mood to change your life. You need a decision to act anyway. Your mood is not the boss of you. It is something that you can influence through movement, through action, through intention. And the moment you stop waiting to feel ready, you step into a completely different version of yourself, not the waiting version, not the stuck version, but the version that moves, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's uncertain, even when it's not perfect, because that version understands something powerful. Life doesn't respond to intention alone. It responds to action. So today, don't wait for the mood. Make the mood follow you. Start small. Start imperfectly. Start now. This is Live Without Limits. Stop holding yourself back. Your breakthrough starts here. And remember, you don't use or rise to your mood. You rise to your action. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.